Anytime we have this many followers of Christ together in one place, it only makes sense that we would take this as an opportunity to be obedient to the Great Commission and leverage our resources, which are plenty compared to the rest of the world, and use them to help others in need. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We don't just want to talk about missions. We don't just want to teach missions. We want to do missions and put into practice what we know the Scriptures teach us. It's an act of worship on our part in being obedient to Christ by giving what we have for the sake of others and for the sake of His gospel here in Pensacola, in this region, and all over the world. So what we've done is set up 3 completely separate opportunities for you that apply to each of those 3, a local opportunity, a regional opportunity, and an international opportunity. First up, we're going to talk about our local opportunity. Here in Pensacola, I don't know if you know this, but there are a lot of homeless people, families, men, women, children. They live on the streets. They have some resources, some have none. Not as many as you might think are just out there because they're addicts or because they're bums. Many of these people are homeless because they can't help it. And there are many other people who are one paycheck away from being homeless. In fact, did you know that from 2010 to 2011, according to HUD in the state of Florida, the number of students in the public school systems in Escambia and Santa Rosa County who are considered homeless doubled? That's just in the last year. One of our friends is Kathy Harris with Streets and Lanes Ministries. I called Kathy and said, Kathy, how can we help you? How can we serve you? We don't want to be a burden. We're going to have a bunch of teenagers who love Jesus hanging out together. What can we do for your ministry and for the homeless in Pensacola? And she had an interesting response, because one of the major issues as the weather warms up around here is mosquitoes. And it's not something I would have thought of. So what we did is got together with Kathy and some of her friends and asked them about how we could meet their needs. Check this out. Kathy, all of these guys here have in some way been touched by Streets and Lanes to the point where they serve with you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what your ministry is and what you do?
Streets and Lanes Ministry, we're a local home front missionary work, if you will, serving the homeless and the needy here in Escambia and surrounding areas. We actually go in the bridges, under the bridges, in the woods, the encampments. We stop for, if we see people, flying signs on the side of the roads. We're actually following the commission of Christ, as He told us in Luke 14:21, to go quickly into the streets and lanes of the city and bring the poor, the maimed, the halt, and the blind.
It's an incredible thing, and so it's a pleasure for us to be connected with you and be a part of that. And so when I contacted you for what we're doing this time, I asked you, what is the biggest need that we could meet in one weekend, just from a collection standpoint, as the weather starts to warm up? And you said something very interesting to me that honestly caught me off guard. You didn't say food, you didn't say clothing, you said bug spray.
Yes.
And so why don't you explain just a little bit about why bug spray is so important, and we'd also love to hear thoughts on how that's valuable on the street as well.
Our homeless are subject to the elements, winter, summer, spring, and fall, good weather, bad weather. We're in a very humid and hot environment. We're around water, as you can see, and there's a lot of pools where insects and mosquitoes breed. And our homeless are actually very vulnerable to the pestilence, if you will. And God bless them. I mean, they get eaten up. They don't necessarily have access to good health care. They're subject to infections. I mean, it's painful and it's very uncomfortable. They don't have an indoor place to go to and shut the door and turn the AC on. So probably of all the things, it really breaks my heart to see them out there swatting and and hungry and no place to go. So it's one of those very real life needs that, as you said, a lot of people don't think about. And it's one of the harder elements that we have to get.
Adam, why don't you tell us a little bit about how it would help?
Since I've actually spent most of my time in and off the streets, the summer is the worstest point for the homeless individual, because like Kathy said, you're swatting bugs, you're in and out the woods, you're in and out the hospital with bug bites and welts. And
I can honestly vouch for it, because I have scars on my arm to prove that bug bites do get infected, and without bug spray, you're going to have to go to the hospital. I actually had to go to the hospital, and I've got a prescription for clindamycin, which is the strongest antibiotic there is, because my arm got infected. My fiance's legs are now covered with scars from being homeless with no bug spray.
Well, Kathy, it's a pleasure and it's an honor for us as a ministry to, in a very small way, come alongside you and what you do. So our prayer, guys, is that as we are able to partner with her, that through her, that she would continue to minister the gospel to this community and to the people living on the streets in this community, and that through that you guys would know that there are churches in Pensacola and believers in Pensacola who who care. They just care, and the teenagers at Hillcrest care, and they love the Lord and want to be obedient to Him. And so hopefully we can meet a need. And thank you guys so much for your time today. Thank you for meeting us on camera, meeting us down here, and all the best to you.